Oh, hey now, welcome into the Ryan Ripken show. I am not Ryan Ripken. I am Kevin Oestreicher. This is not Locked on Ravens again, by the way. Kind of looks like the setup, but we're not doing that today. We're talking O's. Thank you for being here with us. It's Saturday. It's Saturday afternoon, evening, and vibes are high. Orioles get a 5-3 win over the Chicago White Sox. It wasn't looking great, but 5-run spot in the eighth inning. You got homers galore. We have a lot to talk about today, don't we? It's going to be this is all-time vibes on a scale in the chat if you're with us live, on a scale even in the comments of 0 to oh yeah for Mr. Ryan O'Hearn himself. What are the vibes levels for you right now? We're going to talk homers, we're going to talk bullpen, we're going to talk Albert Suarez, who was a dog yet again today. Also, the Orioles make a trade mid-game. That was exciting. So we'll talk about their newest couple of players. One is going to be on the 40-man, the other one not. So we're going to talk about it, but we actually have somebody backstage. There was a little bit of controversy as to was he going to show up for this live stream. It's Mr. Zach Bollinger. Look at that. You made it. You survived Ocean City, or you're surviving Ocean City?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, love it. Love it. Yeah. So far, so good on the burn patrol. But man, how can vibes not be great after that Orioles win? Like you said, so much to talk about. Just really an overall great win in a game that the Orioles looked dead and gone for 6 innings. It did not look great, especially for the offense. But they went back to reliable, had great at bats, and they found themselves in the win column.
Yeah, it's a game where I know that, was scoreless throughout the first, couple of 6 innings or so until Keegan Aiken, or I guess fifth, until Keegan Aiken comes in and gives up, the couple of runs. But you know what? You have a dog. I didn't even mention him in the opening there. How about Dylan Tate, Zach? Crazy stuff. 2 1/3, 7 up, 7 down, 4 strikeouts, and his sweeper was working today. It seemed like, no one could figure him out, and it was of the nasty variety what we saw to Dylan Tate today.
Those things where who did Dylan Tate remind me of today? It was Dylan Tate. It was people forget in 2022, Dylan Tate was one of, if not the most reliable arm in the Orioles bullpen. He was a shutdown guy. He dealt with some injuries last year that really kept him off, and he still kind of was dealing with them early in the year. It's one of those things where Dylan Tate is finally getting fully healthy for the first time in about a year and a half, and you're starting to see it pay off. He got sent down for more reasons, I would say, than his on-field play before. They didn't want to DFA anyone. He had options. So in the organization, they were going to play that card with him. It's a business at the end of the day. But when he's healthy, I'll completely. He's a guy I trust in the ninth. He's a guy I trust in the eighth. And we talked about it last night, even Kevin, where when you look at the bullpen and how the Orioles are going to approach it, a lot of it has to do with they're going to give the guys in the organization a chance first. And Dylan Tate, Nick Vespi, the Brian Bakers, Matt Crook down there, Wanderson Charles. I see a lot of people like him, even though his stats aren't the best. They did go out and grabbed a guy today in the middle of the game, actually, like you said, Kevin. So bullpen help is on the way, whether it's from inside the organization down at AAA or outside guys coming in now. I'm liking a little bit more where we're headed in the bullpen.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the acquisition made earlier today. Obviously, I know if you're talking about stats, it's not so great in terms of the guy they got, but we're still going to talk about it. I think once he was DFA'd by Milwaukee, some people said, "Oh, this could maybe be a move Elias makes," and of course it was. But I think another thing we got to give, we always do this, don't we? The round of applause for Albert Suarez. I mean, he comes in, and again, I mean, it's a spot start. He goes 4 innings, gives up the 2 hits, had 2 walks, didn't strike out a ton of batters, only 3 on the day. But it seems like whenever his name is called, I mean, he produces. He's the Jordan Westberg of the pitching staff. Comes in, produces, and again, I know a lot of people wanted to see Cade Povich, but at least for the short term here, Albert Suarez is a spot starter has worked out really well for Baltimore this year, and it proved true again today.
Suarez, I was actually having a conversation with my friend earlier today about this. It's even funnier watching him dominate because his windup and just his delivery is so nonchalant. Like he's very just casual, and then he pumps 97, 98 past you. He doesn't look like he's really trying that hard. He doesn't look like he should be dominating, but he does. It's not conventional. It's not going out there pumping 100, big sweeping breaking balls. He's getting the job done by just finding ways to get outs and limiting runs. Obviously, another 0 on the board today. If you would have asked Brandon Hyde before the game, he said they wanted 3 or 4 innings out of Suarez. That's what they're hoping for. You told him he was getting 4 shutout innings from Suarez. They're taking that every single day of the week. So, yeah, Albert Suarez is just a guy. He's a lunch pail guy. When his number's called, he's going to do whatever it takes to help this team win.
Yeah, shows up to work and gets the job. And I see Aviator Dread here saying Suarez after the game said, I was just going until they told me not to. So he's you know what, I'll do what you need me to, right? That's exactly what he is. But to me, I think too, the offense was a decently big storyline, but how about that 8th inning, man? Like it seemed like we always say this, right? These are the cardiac comeback kids. Like they're like, oh, the offense is a little bit iffy throughout the first 6-7 innings, and then they just go to work when the time is clutch and they need some runs. And were they a little reliant on the long ball today again? Sure, 3 homers there for 5 runs, but at least they weren't all solos. At least he got a couple guys on base, and then they were getting in there. We start off with Ryan O'Hearn. What do you want to call him today, Zach? What's the O'Hearn nickname of the day? Because I know there are plenty of them.
I posted, obviously, the Ryan O'Hearn, and the O stands for "Oh shit, that ball is mashed," posted that on Twitter. But I actually want to go to start with the at-bat before, and it's Adley Rutschman with a 7-pitch walk. And you've heard us. We have pleaded, we have screamed this from the mountaintop. The Orioles are at their best when they are working the count and getting pitchers deep into their pitch counts and getting them tired. And so Adley sets the tone with a 7-pitch walk. Actually, Brandon Hyde in his presser just called Ryan O'Hearn's at bat, which was an 8-pitch at bat. Talk about working and waiting for your pitch. We've really started to see that this series, and it's a massive stride for the offense. Brandon Hyde called Ryan O'Hearn's at bat today that ended a home run, arguably the best at bat an Oriole has had this season. Wow. So extremely high praise. And he said it set the tone. It's one of those things where O'Hearn just fought off 3 straight fastballs. It gets ahead in the count 2-0, fouls off 5 straight pitches. So you talk about that's where the pitcher is just sitting there and he's like, I can't get this guy out. What is going on? Finally, he gets one. He hangs it, hanging slider, ball gets out. Next at bat, Michael Kopech comes in. You have a 6-pitch at bat from Mountie, ends in a single. Then Santander jumps on the second pitch. Kowser strikes out, and Westbrook jumps on the first pitch for 2 home runs. It's once you get the pitcher rattled and you make them have to work and get them on their heels, get guys on base, put pressure on them, this is where you really start to see the Orioles offense at its best. So that 8th inning, 7th inning was – 8th inning. That was the definition of what we want the Orioles to do this year. They worked counts, got on base, and then once guys were on base, like we always say, Kevin, solo home runs are cool, but we'd much rather have guys on base.
Exactly. And to me, I saw this comment here from Quantum saying the plate discipline has been getting better and better. And that's to your point right there, Zach. I totally agree. And plus, Adley and Gunnar combined for 0 for 7 today. But you know what? 3 walks combined between the 2 of those guys. So they don't have to have it going. Gunnar doesn't have to hit a homer. Well, it seems like he does, but he doesn't have to hit a homer every single day. These guys, even if they can't get on base in terms of putting the ball in play, them being able to work counts, be disciplined at the plate, and just get on base. I mean, we saw it where Adley turns that Ryan O'Hearn homer into a 2-run shot by being disciplined and having the at-bat that he did. And then I think something that was really big, we've talked about Tony Taters and his struggles and the inconsistencies this season. Boy, what a shot! And it felt like, didn't all three of those balls look like they landed in the exact same place? Like it was literally like within
spot.
literally 15 seats of each other. Like it was, the Orioles had a fixin' for that spot. Tony goes 1 for 3 on the day. He also, to the walk point, had the Orioles was working the counts all day. Tony had a walk, but to see him get one out, to lift one out, we know that he's been struggling, but maybe this is what gets him going a little bit. Everybody goes through slumps, but for Tony, as we've talked about with a lot of these guys, Zach, it's so important to have them going, and the Orioles are at their best when Tony is mashing balls like that.
At their best when Anthony Santander is coming up clutch, and you have to accept Santander for what he is. He is a streaky hitter. He is a guy for who 2-3 weeks at a time will look like he doesn't know what he's doing out there. We'll see the average fall. I think it actually fell below 200 today at one point before the home run. You're going to get those streaks. But when Tony is on, he goes on these 2-3 week stretches where he looks like prime Barry Bonds. Anything you put near the guy, it's leaving for a home run. So, I even have to tell myself sometimes because I get annoyed with Tony when he's in those slumps. But when he is on, he is a difference maker. And it just felt like one of those. I actually looked at my friend when Tony came up, and I was like, this just screams that random spot where Tony's been struggling the past 2 weeks, that he's just mashing one. Then 2 pitches later, you see it. It just felt, you could feel it, that this was one of those moments where as soon as Tony walked up there, you were like, this is hopefully something that gets him going. And if it is, the Orioles offense can go to a different level.
Yeah, you got some lottery numbers for me? You're predicting stuff?
I know. I wish I would have bet on it or something, but I was just walked up and I was like, this just seems like, oh, would you look at that?
Wow. Ryan hasn't said that. That's new for Ryan. He hasn't said that before.
We always have to tell him the O's are fine.
Yeah, seriously. But yeah, you don't bet, Zach, so I'm not surprised that you didn't bet on it. It's not something you do.
I'm literally going to a casino after this, so that's why I'm dipping out early.
Wow. Good luck. Hopefully, well, you have to tell us a story tomorrow or Monday about how you do.
You guys know how it goes.
Yes,
so.
yes, please. Well, we haven't talked about the last guy, and I want to give you the floor for this one because this is Mr. Produce himself, Wild Westy, whatever you want to call. What was the line I said? It was Wheezy F baby in the F. What do you remember? I can't even remember what I said.
You said something like Wheezy F baby, and the F stands for something, and we were like, "What are you?" No, but
saying? it was such a bar. It was such a bar. I have to remember it. But Jordan Westburg comes up, a little insurance run for the Orioles in the 8th, solo shot again in the same place that Tony and O'Hearn hit it. He's just been such a revelation for Baltimore this year. This is exactly why they felt comfortable enough to trade Joey Ortiz to Milwaukee for Corbin Burns in that deal. Essentially, they had to make a choice, right? We've talked a lot about this season. A lot of guys are being blocked down in the minors, and they haven't had prime opportunities to hit. Well, if Ortiz stayed, it would have been another one of those of, all right, who's going to be the everyday guy? Who's going to be it? Well, they put their trust in Jordan Westburg. And I mean, geez, he is just producing all over the place this year. And again, a little insurance run doesn't hurt anybody, does it, Zach?
When you said producing all over the place this year.
Well, all right.
I had to laugh for Brad. That one was for Brad.
All right.
But
shout out, Brad.
All he does is produce 2 singles and the home run that you brought up. Different day, same story. It really does every day. And it's not always 3 for 4. A lot of times it's the 1 for 3s in a walk, the 2 for 4s. It just feels like even when I think something people are taking for granted, second, he's not in a routine of every day I'm going to play third, every day I'm going to play second. He's switching back and forth. And not only that, we see him, and we can talk more with Ryan about how this impacts players. He's second yesterday. He's batting first last week. He's gotten third. He's batting fourth. He's batting eighth. He's batting sixth. There's no consistency in where he's playing day to day in the lineup or in the field. And it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter to him when his number's called. He's going to come up in the big moment when it doesn't matter, and just the little moments in the early part of the game, getting on, working counts. He's a complete ball player, and he's someone that's never probably going to get the recognition he deserves on a national stage media wise, because we have the Gunners, the Graysons, the Adleys, the Corbins. There's just so many big stars in Baltimore right now. But Jordan Westburg is the glue that keeps this thing together. He's the lunch pail guy that's just going to always – he's batting 285 right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of his career he's batting 285. Like, he's just a consistent hitter.
Yeah, circle of trust. I mean, there are a couple of guys you can put in that, but Jordan Westburg is firmly in the Orioles circle of trust. Now, there was this comment here from McLover who said it's turned out to be a pretty good weekend so far. The Orioles take the first three from Chicago. They have the opportunity to get the sweep tomorrow, 4-game set, and start that new sweepless streak. Hopefully, they'll be sweepless for a long time after getting swept in St. Louis. But it's weird, Zach, because this was a crazy, wild, insane comeback. And to me, it felt like the most normal game we've had in this series so far.
It's just because it only felt like the Orioles were beaten one inning. And it was obviously the Aiken inning when they gave up. Also, we do have to shout him out. Gavin Sheets, if we were going to give, especially since the Orioles won, applaud for Gavin Sheets. Friend of the show. We'll give it to him. You tried. He mashes the Orioles for no reason. And we talked about before when we had him on the show. Actually, if you're watching this right now and you haven't watched Gavin Sheets on the show, we had him on Thursday, joined the show right before the series began. So go back and check it. It'll be one of the recent videos. So do that. But yeah, it was just – it felt like a game that was just in cruise control the entire time until the Orioles decided that they wanted to go win it. And another guy that I think has to, give him his flowers, Cionel Perez looked great in the last inning. Exactly what you want. Obviously, there was that weird foul ball that they ran out as an inside the park home run, and then they reviewed and they were like, no, it is foul. And I was just like, this was a waste of our time. But besides that, it was an awesome, it felt like the Orioles were one hit away, one big moment away, and finally O'Hearn was able to bust through with the home run, and then it was out. It was out from there.
Yeah, it's the same story over and over again. I mean, how many times have we heard the Orioles? It feels like they're out of it. Offense isn't clicking all day, and then that 7th, 8th, 9th, those late game opportunities come up, and the Orioles, they produce, much like their producer leader in Jordan Westburg. Now, the bullpen is, cars are screaming down the highway where I'm at right now, but the bullpen's an interesting little conversation right now, Zach, because obviously we saw the Keegan Aiken inning where Gavin Sheets capitalized on that. But then you see Dylan Tate go out there and just absolutely dominate. You mentioned Perez. He was awesome. For you, is your confidence level like, oh, they're going to be super inconsistent, but there are enough pitchers that can be dominant each time out? Or are you just like, you'll take what you take right now, and then we'll have to revisit it again? Because in a second, I want to talk about the trade. But to me, it's like the inconsistencies are still there. But then you see what Dylan Tate does, and you're like, oh, maybe they do have enough options in the organization.
Consistency that really gets you. It's the thing that Keegan Aiken to start this year is one of the most reliable relievers. He's the guy you wanted on the bump for a long time in the big situation. And now recently his ERA is skyrocketing. I think it's in the high 3s now, where obviously it was in the low 2s before. It's where I do think it is you wait and see, you let whatever happens happen. Obviously, you would like for it to get together, but you are going to see they're going to try out different guys in the organization, and then probably in a month or so, that's when they go make a move. Obviously, get into Vieira in a second, but it's a big move. I think it's a move that could go under the radar and turn out to be a move we look back on, much like a Yenier Cano, Felix Bautista move, where it's like, holy crap, how did we get this guy for pretty much nothing? So I'm excited to see what he can do. But overall as a bullpen, I feel better when I see guys like Perez doing that today. You see guys like Dylan Tate coming back and dominating, and you start to get together the thought of, okay, for a prolonged period of time, talking about Dylan Tate, talking about CNL Perez, if we can get them doing that again and performing at that level that they were a year ago, for us, then I think this bullpen looks a whole lot better than it is, because right now Cano's kind of struggling, Aiken's struggling, like we talked about. So there's gives and takes, but I think right now it's just riding out what you have and trying to see what you have inside the organization.
Right. And I saw a couple of good comments here. Brian here is saying one at a time, tape back of the theory. That's the start, which is true. 100%. Did you want to say something? Oh, okay. Okay. So yeah, I think it's true where, we were kind of wondering what Tate's role was going to be. We all knew he should have a role with the big league club eventually after he got sent back down. But this is exactly what he can bring to the table, which is hopefully this consistently. That's the word, right? Consistency with this bullpen. And then also you see Michael here saying at least Aiken had options so we can write himself. Why do we pick up a guy with no options in Vieira? I see a lot of comments about him having a plus fastball, a guy that can throw 100. So let's talk about it quickly, Zach, because a lot of people were hoping for bullpen help. And look at that. I said they're not going to get bullpen help tomorrow last night, and they go out and they get somebody. So
that's actually hilarious that you did say that.
So I guess now I just have to say they're not getting any bullpen help tomorrow. They're just going to keep getting guys time after time out. So I guess I'm the luck charm here. But Garrett Stallings, who the Orioles got in the trade for Jose Iglesias, Orioles legend Jose Iglesias, ends up going to Milwaukee, and the Orioles get two guys, not only Thiago Vieira, but Anuris Rodriguez. Now, if you want just pure stats, Vieira is 31 years old, 5.64 ERA, 1.701 whip, and one save in 16 appearances with the Brewers. His career ERA is 6.18, 41 games. He's played for the Mariners, White Sox, and now Brewers as well. Fastball is right up around 100, I'd say probably 98 to 100, but has about a 97 sinker, which is intriguing. 4.5 walks in 10 minor league seasons. Now also Rodriguez, 3.67 ERA, 1.248 whip as well. See, he'll be added to the 40-man. Vieira hasn't reported yet, I believe, if that's the last thing I saw on it. But do you think that this could be another reclamation project for Mike Elias, Brandon Hyde and company? What do you think they see in this guy?
They see exactly what they saw in Yennier Cano. They see exactly what they saw in a Felix Bautista. It's a guy who can pump 98 to 99, a guy who has a 97 mile per hour sinker that it's a control issue right now. That's what it is. It's a guy that they hope they can bring in, lab, find some fixes, do little tweaks here and there. But this is a guy that I'm very intrigued by because we've talked with Jeff Passan, we've talked with Tim Kirch, and we've talked with so many guys. And what do they all say, Kevin? Velocity is what people want. Velocity pays, velocity gets outs. And it's what teams want. And Vieira has velocity. And actually, I was looking at him. He's also very highly rated in his fastball run. So his movement, I think he can be very deceptive. Yes. So great little scouting report here. So it's I like what you said. It's easier to get someone control than it is to make their stuff better. Yeah, stuff's there. It's whether or not he can control it. Yeah, Chris, if you want to look at it like this, yeah, like a Fuji 2.0. Maybe this one hits. It is very similar to the Fuji acquisition last year, and a guy that they think, hey, if he can go out and control this stuff, it can be a game changer for this bullpen. Now, am I saying he's going to come in, turn into Yennier Cano, and be the ninth inning guy? Probably not. That would be really, really cool. But I think this is a guy that, best case, you go out there and suddenly you have a reliable reliever now that you can put into the seventh, eighth inning, sixth inning that you're comfortable getting outs.
Right. And I think when guys like Bautista, Cano came to Baltimore, it was, Batista was like, all right, is this guy really going to be able to turn it around for Cano? It was really looked at as the Povich deal where they traded Jorge Lopez and Povich was the headliner. Cano was just kind of like, oh, all right, this guy's in the deal, like whatever. And now, obviously, Cano has struggled, but he's been in so many big moments for them since he's gotten called up. And obviously, Bautista's Bautista. I don't really have to say anything about him at this point. But there's no guarantee it works out. But not every move that you make has to be this huge Mason Miller type acquisition, especially at a position of need where, again, Elias has taken these swings. Some have worked out and some haven't, right? There's no guarantee that in fact, it is not possible for every single one of every single move to work out for any organization. But the Orioles are clearly identifying that, hey, some bullpen help would be good here. And I think that this, honestly, if I'm looking at this from a trade perspective, I'm probably feeling a little better about the fact that, hey, you know what? They are looking around. They're sniffing around to see guys that could potentially help this team, guys they can take flyers on, and guys with stuff that can hopefully translate with some better control. And I saw, Ryan talking, I think Zach, you pulled it up, saying you take chances on upside players, specifically arms. And that's exactly here. I know, Vieira's not 23 years old, but he's somebody that for the Orioles who were in both a win now situation and a long-term situation, you have to balance that out. And if Vieira can potentially give you a few years, it's true that maybe it can work. Now, you don't want him to necessarily cost them games. I think that's where it gets a little dicey if it doesn't work out. But I'm glad they're at least taking the swings, wouldn't you say?
Swings and going. Really, other people had given up on, wasn't in the league for 7 years. Guy who started today, Albert Suarez. That was a guy that they were like, hey, we think suddenly this guy, even though he's 35, Vieira 4 years younger, they were like, hey, even though some people have given up on him, we think he's got potential. He's got stuff. We just want to tweak a few things, and we think this can work. So now they see the same in Vieira. Am I saying it's going to be a direct correlation that he's going to start dominating like Suarez? Probably not. But I love, like you said, they're taking swings. They're going out and taking shots to get better bullpen pieces and help this team to their big goal of winning the World Series.
Right. So it's not the be all end all, right? I still think the Orioles will be looking around for more bullpen help. I wouldn't call this their only acquisition, or, they're not saying to themselves, I would think, all right, we got these two guys, we're done now. They're still going to be sniffing around trying to improve. Every team does it, but at least they're looking a little earlier, and trade happened a little earlier than I thought it would, Zach. So there we go. And look at this, Don. Got to get some claps up for Don. Appreciate you, Don, saying, did you guys have an oh no moment twice? Now they tripped on his feast and fell. Man, talk about just a bad sequence, man. Just unreal.
Things where I literally jumped up and I was like, is he okay? I literally, when he went down, I was like, not like this. I was like, not like this. Like, this is not how it goes. Yeah, Dante, that was horrible. And then.
Oh, all right.
Appreciate you.
So, yes, if you, for those who are wondering what channel memberships are, I haven't talked about it, so I'll do it quickly, where we just give you more exclusive content. So if you enjoy the show, you like our content, you like to see a little more behind the scenes stuff, we put that out to both the Holy Shirts and Pants members and the Ryan's Good Kids. So if you want to join, we do, again, that exclusive content. You get exclusive channel emotes that you can spam. All of us have one. Me, Zach, Brad, Ryan, Rocco, even Ollie has one. You can spam in there. Plus, we're going to nail down a specific stream time every month for 30 minutes or so to just talk about life, what's going on, the show, sports, whatever it is, for our channel members. We'll do that once a month. We're trying to finalize the time for that and get consistent with that every month. So that's something in the works. But again, you can access everything you want for free on this show. We're not putting in everything behind, a paywall. We're never going to plan to do that. Don't worry. But if you just want some more content on top of everything that we do already, you can subscribe.
Yeah.
Wait, you cut out, Zach? What'd you say?
Just, for the channel content, it's more behind the scenes stuff. Like when we go to interviews, we take videos of stupid stuff we're doing. Kevin attempting to take shots, stuff like that,
Yeah, I don't know what the heck was going on with Rocco last night. Brad put that video out. He was Well, did you see that combination, Zach? It was the Iron Rooster Fire Honey, by the way, absolute fire sauce, both literally and figuratively. But then, well, he was putting it on pizza or a sandwich. What was he doing?
Or something with on a DiGiorno pizza. It was
Yeah.
and Aviator Dread, loving the Zach Kevin after party format. A little something for the Banksy fun.
You can do with that what you will. Zach is holding me hostage. No, I'm kidding. He's not. But
I'm about to hit the road. I'm going to go try to gamble and hopefully not lose all my money. So everyone, make sure to treat Kevin well as he wraps up. So,
well, speaking of, you should if you end up whatever you do, you should put some of that in the holy shirts and pants and show your winnings or losses.
do that. I'll let you guys know in holy shirts and pants. So if you're part of the channel members, I'll let you know how it goes so you can see that. Few hours. So we'll see you guys.
All right. Best of luck to you. We'll appreciate you hopping on, man. We'll talk to you soon. And don't lose everything you own. I'll just say that.
Go O's, everyone. Kevin, take it over.
All right. Back to the Kevin Allstrikers show. Get out of here, Zach. This is my domain now. This is exciting. I mean, the Orioles, it felt like they needed something after that sweep. It almost, I mean, the catcher interference, or not catcher interference, the infield fly, runner interference, whatever, was such a weird play. But to me, it felt like Baltimore just needed a jolt, and this was a get-right series. If they had even split with Chicago, it kind of would have worried me a little bit. There are still things that we can talk about. Actually, speaking of, I tried to do the new segment last time. One up, one down in the chat. Put one thing you liked about the game, one thing you didn't like about the game. One up, one down. I was gonna make it 3 up, 3 down, but I think that was just too much for everybody. So we're cutting two of it. We're just doing one up, one down. So one thing you liked, one thing you didn't. I think for me, it's Dylan Tate. Zach and I talked about it, but the Orioles have been looking for bullpen consistency for, I mean, pretty much the entire season. They've had spurts of being awesome, and they've had spurts of some inconsistencies where they've either given up leads, they've blown games, and in my opinion, Tate is like this. He's a breath of fresh air. We know that when he is on and when he is healthy, he is one of the better relievers in that bullpen. And it just makes so much sense to have him as, whether you want him as a long guy, he can be a high leverage player if you need him to be. He's a do-it-all player, but the name of the game here is we know all these pitchers in the bullpen can throw. We know they have good stuff. It's just about them being consistent and not going out there every, third appearance or whatever and giving up a couple runs and blowing the game and doing that. So, yeah, I see Mike here saying, speaking of Dylan Tate and Suarez were incredible. Stowers. And we actually didn't talk about Kyle Stowers yet. I see a lot of Kyle Stowers. Sean saying he likes Stowers and his effort. I think if you're Baltimore, you do have to find more consistent at-bats for Stowers. We had the conversation about Heston when he was up, and it just didn't feel like Baltimore was giving him those, whether, just trying to work Mullins out of his funk or even Tony with his. But Stowers is proving, I mean, he's a high-level, high-energy player. The effort is there. He is a player that I think can help Baltimore out. And this is what I was talking about a little bit last night too, which is, how do you get guys out of funks? You move them around, you figure stuff out. Obviously, Mullins came up as a pinch hitter today, and he, didn't end up doing anything. But I think that for now, Mullins should have a little bit more time off. And it's not about just, him going to the bench full time, but to me, Stowers is somebody that I'd personally like to see. And I see we got a chat here from Will. Appreciate you, Will. Salute to anyone serving or protecting. Absolutely. Obviously, it's Memorial Day weekend, so got to give a huge shout out to everybody who is serving or protecting. I know me personally, I think I saw some comments in the chat. Ryan was talking about it too. Does not go unnoticed and is, the highest honor. So really appreciate everybody who is serving or protecting this country. Now, Will also gives a dream lineup for tomorrow. Westberg in the 1 spot, Gunnar 2, Adley 3. You left out. I'll come in at 4. Will left out a 4-hitter. I'll come in at 4. Mountcastle 5, Hayes 6, 7, 8, 9 is Mateo, and then you can choose 7, 8, 9. So me hitting cleanup behind Westberg, Gunnar, and Adley, I think I'm doing some damage. I think I'm getting at least, I think, look, all three of those guys can get on base. I think I'm doing some damage and maybe hitting at least 2 grand slams, in my opinion. So I think that the White Sox should be pretty fearful of me stepping up in that cleanup spot tomorrow. But I think that if we're talking, I think Stowers should get an opportunity tomorrow again. If you want to throw Kowser in there, you can. He obviously today, made the catch at the wall to end the game. Went 0 for 3, but did have a walk. And that's what I loved about this team. You have 2 walks from Gunnar, 1 from Adley. You had 1 from Tony, 1 from Colton, 5 walks on the day, which if you're not able to put the ball in play consistently, if you're not able to figure out a way to impact the game with your hitting in terms of getting on base by putting the ball on the grass or hitting it out of the park, getting on base just by walking is a huge aspect. On base percentage, get on base. So I see Will corrected himself. He said Mountcastle 4, Santander 5. Hey, I still like me in the cleanup role if you want. But yeah, I think Mountcastle 4, Tony 5. That works out for me. Hayes 6, Mateo 7, and then maybe Stowers 8, Kowser 9, or maybe you want to put O'Hearn somewhere in the lineup if you want to use him at DH, or if maybe they want to put McCann in there and have Adley DH. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I saw the comment here from Red saying Stowers is raising the trade stock. It feels like the Orioles will, it's probably inevitable, right? They're going to have to move on from some of these guys in AAA. I wouldn't want it to be Kobe Mayo. I think he should be up with this club at some point. Obviously, it's not going to be Jackson, but you might have to choose, much like the Orioles had to choose between and Joey Ortiz and a Jordan Westberg. Maybe they have to choose between Stowers and Kjerstad, and whoever, quote unquote, wins that battle gets the other outfield spot, and the Orioles can bring in either bullpen help. I don't think they need starter depth right now. Obviously, the injuries to Means and Kramer, we don't know what the situations are. Brandon Hyde, I don't think, had an update on Means when this happened, but hopefully the Stowers stay, the Orioles hope, or not the Stowers stay, the Dean Kramer stay is more of a shorter term IL stint like Grayson Rodriguez. All right, sorry about that. StreamYard literally kicked me out of the stream. Don't really understand how that happened, but look at that. Unfortunate. Sorry. Anyway, yeah, to me, I think that you might have to choose between one of those guys. So in my opinion, Banksy got me. He finally hashed his plan. But to me, I think that you might have to choose, and whether that is trading a guy for bullpen help. And again, the starter situation doesn't concern me as much unless there's a big thing with Kramer. Then I think you might have to go out there. But then you have Povich, right? It's okay, go out there and give Povich a shot. So to me, and I agree with this. I hear you here, Reds. Ortiz and Westberg were similarly rated prospects. Stowers and Kjerstad have not been. That's a good way to look at it. I don't know. And I see Joe saying you can trade Taron Vavra. I don't know how much Taron gets you at this point, but in my opinion, also Urias could be in the lineup, but I don't know if he's also been struggling a little bit. And I know there's been a lot of conversation about having guys who might, have that sitting around 200, 215, even below 200 in the lineup at the same time. Mullins, Santander, Urias recently. So that to me, what it is with the lineup, but they have enough depth where they can rotate guys in and out. But it's a delicate balance that Brandon Hyde and company have to figure out, which is rotating guys in, giving your team the best shot to win while also getting guys back on track, which is what I think I've hammered that point home multiple times with Craig Kimbrell and how they try to get him back on track. And I think they certainly did. Now, also, shout out Pocket Watch. Appreciate you. Actually, Pocket Watch, I haven't told this story, and since none of the other guys are here to limit my story time telling, I'm going to do it. Where I actually worked for a company called Pocket Watch when I was out in LA. After my sophomore year of college, I went out to LA, did a couple internships. Actually went out twice, lived out in LA by myself 2 times over the summer, which wasn't it. I have stories from there, and there are going to be plenty we tell. But Pocket Watch, they work with YouTubers, more like kid YouTubers. So Ryan Toys Review, if you've ever heard of him, worked with him and his team, his family. Did a whole toy and clothing launch. So they're not here to stop me telling my stories today. Zach is gone. Zach is, I don't know, Ryan, Brad, Rocco, I don't know where those guys are. But I have the free reign to tell as many stories as I want to here today. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. But shout out to Pocket Watch for the donation. And I see Victoria, shout out to you. Thank you for the one Ryan Ripken membership gifted. So we're building up our membership. We are building up that memberships and everything that goes on there. So again, if you want to be a part of the membership crew, be sure to hit the join button next to subscribe. Now, I see Steven giving us some Cade Povich intel. 6 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts today, 2.35 ERA after today's start. Now, if the Dean Kramer situation is a little more long-term, I think that you do call up Povich. We know that Suarez can start in spot opportunities. We know that he can be effective. But if this is a longer-term absence for Dean, I do think that you should call up Povich. Now, if it's not, and then it's only means, rotation, obviously, in my opinion, should probably be Burns, Bradish, Rodriguez, and then Dean coming back. And then I'd probably just slot Irvin in there, and that's your 5 until Means would be able to come back. But it's good to have the insurance policy in a Povich, who is absolutely dominating in AAA right now. And in my opinion, I think see what membership gets you a high five from Rubenstein. Might have to add all these tiers. Might have to go to Ryan with that one and see. But thank you, Joe, by the way, for we love Kevin's stories. You've only scratched the surface with my stories here. So I think actually I'll tell one from today. I was in Hamden a little earlier today, and we went to the Charmery. If you know what the Charmery is, it's an ice cream place. Has a lot of awesome flavors. You can do all this different stuff with it. And they had a corn ice cream flavor. It was a corn and Parmesan cheese ice cream flavor. And me being me, right? Me being me, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna go out on a limb and I'm gonna try this corn and Parmesan cheese ice cream flavor. And you know what? I don't know what I was expecting. I don't know, what the flavor was. I expecting it to be sweet? Was it, little? Was there going to be spice in there? Was it going to be rich? It actually was not bad. So I got the corn and Parmesan ice cream flavor. Joe saying Mexican corn ice cream. Let's go. So before watching the game, got a little corn and Parmesan ice cream in there. So that was Don saying, I don't know what the situation with Means is, Sean, but there's no update at this point. Don saying sounds corny. It was definitely corny there. People are all right. I knew I was gonna get roasted. I told it on this stream, so none of the other guys know about it. So they have to be watching to know about it, or someone in the chat's going to out me on a stream with everybody, and I'm going to have to tell the story again, and I'm going to get roasted. So this is between you and me. This is the secret. I got corn and Parmesan flavored ice cream, and I will know if anybody rats on me because none of the other guys heard the story. So, yeah, there are going to be conversations, too. I see Bear Arms talking about if they need room on the roster, who would they send down if it's a position player? I think Urias would probably be the guy. I mean, you could send down Stowers again, but I personally probably wouldn't do that, especially if they want to bring up another infielder. Like if they bring Jackson back at some point, I think that would be a swap. There's Tony Camp, Orioles legend, is no longer on the roster anymore. Also, Reds is bringing the stats here today, too. So appreciate that, Reds. The offense is notable to know the Orioles are second in BABIP this month at 253. 15th place is 288. Birds have been getting unlucky. Yeah, I mean, it seems like they're getting a hold of a decent amount of balls, but they're just not they're not finding grass. And even, we had that conversation with Jackson. We've had it with a couple other players, too. But if you want to go down that route as well, they have to hit better with runners in scoring position consistently, right? We've talked about that. I'm not trying to give them an excuse for that. But in my opinion, that's an area they have to get a little better at. But there also is a little bit of there's a little growth that they can do because, again, we can talk about they won the game 5-3 today, but 3 homers. The good part about it is they had guys on base for 2 of them, but they are still relying on the long ball, which can win you games. But I think it's not a consistent formula. So I'm glad they had the 5-run 8th. I'm glad they're able to pull it out, but I would love to see, doubles, triples, bringing guys home, getting guys on with walks, which we did see today. That was an encouraging sign. But in my opinion, yeah, that's what's going on. I think I saw a Ravens question in here at some point. Yeah, here we go. Would you rather be a wild card team, win the division, have the poison pill known as the long bye? So we'll take a 2-minute Ravens break here because I am the host of Locked On Ravens. Did a bonus episode today. I'm going to do another bonus episode tomorrow over on Locked On Ravens. So yeah, I'm talking big O's. I've been big on the Orioles scene here. This is actually my first season covering the Orioles. I've been covering the Ravens for 5 seasons now, but this is my first season covering the Orioles. So it's been really exciting to do this with the guys and dive head first into that. So I now have experience covering all 3 sports. Covered the NBA with the Nuggets, now covering baseball, and obviously football's been the main source of my coverage. But to me, I think the Ravens play better as underdogs. I mean, we know that. Obviously, you want to be the 1 seed. You're not shying away from that. But obviously, the past 2 years, they have gotten the 1 seed, 2019, and now this. And even if you want to go back to 2006, when they had the first round bye, it's been disappointment there. The Orioles, you can talk about them being the 1 seed too, winning the AL East, winning 100 games. They were the 1 seed. Was not a great 1 seed luck stretch for Baltimore teams. But for the Ravens, I mean, I'm fine with it either way. Like, it's a weird dynamic because I don't know if there's any stats behind teams coming off, buys or being whatnot. But the Ravens, they play better as underdogs. And if they were to get the 2 or 3 seed, have that week, have the consistency. I mean, look, the Ravens came off the bye last year and beat down on the Texans. So, it was the AFC Championship. If they had lost to the Texans in the divisional, then I think my answer would be just, I don't care about the bye, just don't have it. But yeah, in my opinion, it's not. Oh, and I see so Eli, who asked the question, is actually a Commanders fan. So appreciate you tuning in. I mean, yes, I do host Locked On Ravens, but Ravens and Commanders will be playing each other. What is that game? Week 6, I think. So we'll have plenty of Commanders talk during that week. I think Jaden Daniels, you got a good one there as well. And I'll do a little self promotion. Mike asking, when does Locked On Ravens go live? So we're 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. Actually, I've never missed an episode over my 5 years, or almost 5 years. Tomorrow's episode, well, I'll say Monday. Monday's episode of Locked On Ravens will be my 1,256th consecutive episode, spanning almost 5 years now on weekdays. We go live after every Ravens game, bonus content too, but general show. It's Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. Eastern time. We premiere, and then we go live after every single piece of Ravens big news and after every single Ravens game. So appreciate you for the question, Mike, but obviously here on the Ryan Ripken Show, just so we can keep it even between all the promotion, we go live on the Ryan Ripken Show every Monday and Thursday. Those are almost always in studio, but now also we're doing a new thing here, which is why we're live today and why we have been live for the past 3 days, is we're going live, or at least trying to, after every single Orioles game, giving you that instant coverage, whether it's a win, whether it's a loss. Really appreciate you guys sticking around and being a part of the show, right? This is a Saturday. You could be going out. You could be going out to a casino like Zach, could be partying, could be going out on a date, but you're sticking with me here on the Ryan Ripken Show, and I really appreciate that. And obviously all of us appreciate it. Ryan, Brad, Zach, and Rocco, the whole crew. So it doesn't go. Oh, I see. I see, Victoria. These are the important questions. Kevin, did you watch the Titanic movie yet? My heart will go on. I have not watched it. I've seen part of it. For those who are new to the show, don't know the lore behind me, I'm not very cultured in movies. I've seen a lot of parts of movies, but actually I did, for the record, I did watch a movie last night. It was a new one. The Iron Claw movie with Zac Efron about wrestling. I watched that movie last night. Very good movie. Very sad, by the way, but I watched a movie last night, so I should get some points for that, right? Also, Eli asking, why do I like the Nuggets? I like the Wizards were a complete train wreck. Yeah, and the Wizards have a lot of rebuilding to do. I'm a Nuggets fan because when I was 7, I wanted a basketball team, and I liked the Nuggets name, and I picked them, and I've stayed loyal ever since. Literally how it happened. There's no strategic thing behind it. I thought the uniforms were cool. Thought the name was cool. I'm like, oh, Nuggets. I like Nuggets. Let's be a fan of the Nuggets, and I've stayed loyal to them. Unfortunate way that, they ended their year this year. But yeah, so we'll talk Orioles on this show, obviously, talk Ravens. We'll throw some basketball talk in there as well, and appreciate everybody for the support here. And if I get married. All the support here has been amazing, guys. For the show here, we're almost at 10,000 subscribers. It's been exciting to kind of see the show grow here. We have something really exciting planned for 10,000. By the way, if you want to fast track us to 24,000 subscribers, we're going to be doing a 24-hour live stream after we hit 24,000. I think Rocco and Zach are jumping out of a plane at 50,000 or 100,000 with parachutes, obviously, guys. Come on. But we're going to have a bunch of milestones. We hit it. I'm going to try to get Ryan to do 10 tequila shots once we hit 10K, or maybe all 5 of us will do 2 so we don't put all the burden on him. But Orioles are in an exciting spot right now. You know, we're hoping for a bit more consistency, but at the same time, 3 wins is 3 wins. I think they needed something coming off of that sweep, and I'm really excited to hopefully watch them sweep it up tomorrow against Chicago, and we will, barring anything crazy, be going live again after that thing. I see Adit asking if I've seen either The Princess Bride or Blazing Saddles. I have seen The Princess Bride. Very good movie. Blazing Saddles, no, I have not. So that I'll have to add that to my list. And this is kind of, so for those who are wondering about channel memberships, this is kind of the dynamic it's going to be. Obviously, it's not just going to be me, but where everybody, you know, you can ask questions in the live stream here. Obviously, I'll answer them, and I'm trying to get to as many as I can. We're having a ton of comments come in, but we're going to do those monthly live streams for members, and it's just going to be us kind of talking, right? Just vibing out. You can ask questions and we'll answer them. And so this is kind of the dynamic. I know that, again, we talk Orioles. That's the main focus of the show, talking Ravens, sports in general. We have a bunch of also in-person interviews that we do. We've obviously interviewed Mike Elias, Eric Costa, and we have a lot more in-person stuff coming up as well. So to me, I think that with Baltimore sports, it's an exciting time, right? I mean, you have the Orioles who are in prime contender position, the Ravens who will hopefully bounce back from last year's championship loss. So we're going to be covering it all for you on the show, but really appreciate everybody for tuning in. I'm going to head out here. I don't think we're getting anybody else. I think Ryan's out for the day. I don't think Brad is available, and who knows what the heck Rocco's doing. I think he's the only one that didn't respond. Zach gave us some time. Let's all say a prayer for Zach and hope that he is winning big money. Hopefully he can fund a new computer for me. So appreciate everybody. Again, be sure to like and subscribe here on the Ryan Ripken Show. We go live essentially almost daily now, but if not, show regularly is Monday through Thursday. You can subscribe here. We also have this coming out in audio form now. So if you don't catch it live and you don't want to watch the show on YouTube, there is an audio only version. So if you're driving, right, don't have your phone watching while you're driving, right? Obviously, just listen to the audio form or listen to the audio from YouTube. Do not be looking down at your phone. I do not endorse that. So there are multiple ways to consume our content. Obviously, we'll be back here tomorrow, hopefully after the Orioles win and sweep. Again, barring any unforeseen circumstances, we're going to try to go live after every single Orioles game here from now on. I don't know who's going to be joining me tomorrow, but we'll be right back here. So appreciate everybody again, and we will see you right back here tomorrow on the Ryan Ripken Show.